My name again is Jennifer Hensel of the Women in Podcasting Network and Women in Podcasting Show, and you can find those at womeninpodcasting.net. Let's talk about creating effective and compelling elevator pitches for podcasters. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just starting out, an elevator pitch is a powerful tool that can help you grow your podcast and your business. So I'm going to be talking about what an elevator pitch is, the benefits and opportunities for using an elevator pitch for your podcast and business, 7 keys to preparing a powerful pitch, and the format and outline for writing a compelling elevator pitch. We have a complimentary workbook for you that goes with this training, so make sure you download that through the link that's provided. So let's dive in. Buzzsprout just reported that there are over 90 million Americans who listen to podcasts weekly, making podcasting a highly competitive industry. To stand out, podcasters need to have a strong personal brand and be able to communicate their unique value proposition quickly and effectively. According to a survey by Podcast Business Journal, 62% of podcasters report that networking is important to the growth of their show. Networking online and offline can help podcasters increase their reach, grow their audience, and attract potential guests, sponsors, and collaborators. The average attention span of an adult is only 8 seconds, so having an elevator pitch that can capture someone's attention quickly is crucial. It can help podcasters introduce themselves and their show in a concise and memorable way. In fact, research by the Muse found that people who have a strong elevator pitch are 20% more likely to be successful in job interviews. And the same principle applies to podcasters who want to make a good impression on potential guests, sponsors, or listeners. Overall, networking and having a strong elevator pitch can help podcasters differentiate themselves in a crowded industry, build valuable relationships, and increase their chances of success. So what is an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is a brief summary of your podcast with the goal of gaining someone's attention and leaving them wanting to hear more. The term elevator pitch originated from the idea that you should be able to explain your idea or product or podcast in the time it takes to ride an elevator with someone. This actually happens at conferences and events where the best connections are actually made in the halls and, well, elevators. The idea is that if you find yourself in a situation where you get to introduce yourself to a potential listener or sponsor or a collaborator or another podcaster or a group of people, and you only have a short amount of time to capture their attention, then you want to have something prepared. It's basically a brief, concise, and compelling mini speech that can be delivered in a short amount of time whenever the opportunity arises. So why is an elevator pitch important specifically for podcasters? Well, for starters, it helps you to clearly define your podcast's purpose and message. This is especially important in the crowded podcasting space where there are millions of podcasts competing for listeners. A well-crafted elevator pitch can help you stand out from the crowd and attract the right audience. There are all kinds of opportunities where you can share your podcast elevator pitch. For example, events. You can use it at live in-person networking events and trade shows for your specific niche and in the podcasting industry. This helps with expanding your reach and building awareness around your show and your brand. On social. An elevator pitch can be a great tool for promoting yourself on social media and other marketing channels. By distilling your podcast's message into a few key phrases, you can create shareable content that attracts new listeners and promotes your brand. It can also help you attract potential sponsors, advertisers, and collaborators. By clearly articulating your podcast value proposition, you can make a compelling case for why brands should partner with you to reach your audience. This can be a game changer for your podcast and your business because revenue from sponsorships, advertising, and collaborative partnerships can provide significant sources of income. I don't seek sponsors and advertisers specifically, but I generate a chunk of my income from joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and collaborations. And I know firsthand that it's very important to be very clear and focused in your messaging to get maximum results. All of these things are not only essential for building a successful podcast, but my favorite part, it also works towards building a community around your podcast and message. Attracting not only fans and followers, but ideal listeners and champions of your message. Having a clear message about what your podcast is all about will dramatically increase listener engagement and loyalty. Your elevator pitch is essential to networking, and networking is essential to the well-being of your business, to your podcast, and to you. Because being a podcaster and entrepreneur can be isolating, so networking is a great opportunity to connect with others. There's a saying, when planning, focus on goals, and when networking, focus on relationships. When you think about writing and delivering your elevator pitch, think about it in terms of building community. You need to build your circle of support around you. It won't build itself. And people will help you if you show up to be helped. People are craving connection now more than ever. People want to connect. And guess what? People want to connect with you. So be excited about showing up and create an introduction that draws the right people into your orbit. Having a well-crafted elevator pitch can also help with building a network of mutual support, making new connections, generating goodwill, exchanging referrals, swapping interviews, finding volunteers, increasing awareness, and connecting with other podcasters and sponsors. So for all these reasons, creating an effective and compelling elevator pitch is essential for podcasters who want to grow their podcast and their business. You'll be able to confidently mention your podcast in every opportunity that arises. Now, I want to tell you how my elevator pitch played a part in helping me take my part-time side gig and turning it into a full-time business, and why it's worth the effort to schedule some time in to really put in some thoughtful work into this process. I was a part-time entrepreneur for a long time while working full-time. Every cell in my body wanted to be my own full-time business owner, but I would always hit a wall. One of the main things that kept me stuck was that when opportunities came up to introduce myself, I was overcomplicating it. I was mentioning too many things. I was mentioning everything I do for people, basically. But when we try to appeal to everyone, what happens? We appeal to no one. Then a mentor told me to just choose one thing, focus on one specific aspect of my business and one specific call to action. So I tried it, and guess what? It worked. It worked so well that I started a networking community where we all shared our elevator pitches, and I was able to hone my skills. When I became focused and I learned how to properly introduce myself and what I offer, and then I was finally able to take my business from part-time to full-time. That one group that I had created turned into a network, and I had multiple chapters in cities throughout my region, and during that time I planned and promoted over 500 events, and I ended up selling that network, and I've built several communities since then, including my current Women in Podcasting network. So here's the thing, from all my communities I've created, I've witnessed thousands and thousands of elevator pitches, literally thousands. I've also seen the short-term and the long-term results of someone's elevator pitch. I've seen what works and what doesn't work. So now that you know you need an elevator pitch, let's talk about what you can do to be memorable and create buzz and excitement for your podcast. Number 1, keep it concise. An elevator pitch is meant to be short and to the point. Aim to keep your pitch to no more than 30 to 60 seconds or 5 to 10 sentences. Remember, it's not about telling everything about everything. It's about compelling people to connect with you further. It's about giving an intriguing reason to get people to continue the conversation or to go listen to your show. So at this point, I'm often asked, especially from those who are new to this process, why only 20 or 30 or 60 seconds? Well, the reason networking groups ask you to deliver your introduction in such a short amount of time is so that there's more time for relationship building and networking. So one of the best things you can do is compel people to want to come and talk with you after and connect with you further. That's the whole purpose of it, right? It's not trying to sell in that 30 to 60 seconds. You're not trying to sell. So be concise and focused on communicating your unique value proposition and how it benefits your ideal audience. Less is better, more impact, but less words and time. I've seen people ramble on for 5 minutes and I have no clue about what they're talking about, what they actually do, and most importantly, how in the world can it help me? We've all seen someone ramble on like that, right? But yet I've also seen the most effective elevator pitches take place in under 20 to 30 seconds that get me really fired up, and I see other people around me getting fired up. So I've seen elevator pitches where a person has people lined up afterwards to talk to them. I've had that happen to me at certain events. So what do those people have that the other people don't have? The first thing was conciseness, and the next thing is, number 2, Keep it focused, defining your unique value proposition. This is the core of your pitch and should communicate the key benefit or value that your podcast provides to your audience. Consider what sets your podcast apart from others in your niche and what unique insights or perspectives you bring to the table. Focus on one thing. You don't have to tell all the things that you've ever done. You don't have to mention all your credentials and all your experiences and all your services. Pick one thing, one compelling question. Answer that one question with one solution, solve one problem, and tell people where to get one solution. If you're having trouble narrowing it down, think about what do you do best? What really fires you up? Put that one thing out there into the universe and see what happens. Knowing your podcast's purpose and message can help you to create content that is consistent with your brand and resonates with your audience. Number 3, identify your ideal audience. Knowing your ideal listener will help you to tailor your pitch to their needs and interests. Consider the demographics, interests, and pain points of your ideal audience and think about how your podcast addresses those. It should be about them and solving their problem, not about you. So in my story, I told you how I found that out the hard way. And the thing to know is your job is not to capture everyone's interest and attention. When people are starting out in this, and I did the same thing, there's this fear that you might miss the opportunity to sell something to someone. But if you become focused, the opposite happens. You need to focus on what you want to do and very specifically what your audience wants and needs. And then you'll actually reach more people, not less people. It's magical. Number 4, use compelling language. Consider using descriptive words and phrases that paint a picture of the benefits of your podcast. Avoid using technical jargon or overly complex language that may confuse your audience. Step number 5. For maximum impact, infuse mini stories into your elevator pitch. You can pull stories from your life lessons, podcasting journey, lifestyle, adventures, business experiences, and metaphors. Step number 6. Practice your elevator pitch until you feel confident and comfortable delivering it. Refine your pitch as you go, paying attention to feedback from listeners and adjusting your messaging as needed. And one thing to note is winging it is not being authentic. I'm not sure where this myth came from that winging it is authenticity. That's the opposite. Because taking the time to think about how you want to accurately express yourself and your podcast, choosing your words and refining that over time will actually show your genuine essence and help you to be more authentically you. Number 7, deliver with confidence. Remember to speak clearly and confidently. Maintain eye contact and use gestures and body language to convey enthusiasm and energy. Remember, your elevator pitch is an opportunity to make a strong first impression and generate interest for you and your podcast, so make it count. Now let's take a look at the format and outline for your elevator pitch. So don't forget, we have a complimentary workbook for you to work through this, and you can download that with the link provided. So here are some things you want to include in your elevator pitch for you and your podcast. The first part is what I call your magnetic moment. It's your hook. You're going to open with a compelling question, statistic, story, or statement. Section number 2 is your intro and your value proposition. So you're going to say your name, your podcast name, and address your audience. So who's the show for, what is their problem, and how you're going to solve it. And you're going to weave in there the result or outcome. What do they get from listening to your podcast or from working with you? And then the third and final section is your call to action. What do you want them to do? Be specific. Offer a lead magnet or direct them to your website, or you can ask them to scan the QR code on your business card. Try to avoid saying, oh, you can find it on all the podcasting platforms, because you'll get better response if you're more specific. And then once you've made that connection and you're building a relationship with them, you've got them on your email list and you're growing your community and you can share your offers, convert those leads into sales and more engaged community and listeners. Look, you need to be absolutely extremely clear on each of these aspects of describing your podcast and your business, because if you're not clear on it, how is your audience going to be clear on it? How can your audience know what you can do for them and what problem you're going to solve for them? And how can they connect with you? So you need to make it crystal clear what problem you solve. By doing this work, I was able to create not only an elevator pitch for my business and my podcast, but also my podcast description that can go in all the podcasting platforms and the script for my intro and outro of my show. And when you've taken the time to thoughtfully craft your elevator pitch, you can confidently use it whenever the opportunity arises and you won't be stuck for words. So let me go over my example with you so you can get an idea of what it's going to sound like and what it should be like. Sometimes I'm in a podcasting industry type event, but for the most part, I'm usually in an event that's got mostly entrepreneurs and that type of situation. So I'll start with one of these types of questions. These are some hooks that I've used, and I want you to think of what would work for your ideal audience. Okay, so do you love listening to podcasts to learn new skills? Or have you ever wanted to start your own podcast to grow your business? Or have you ever wanted to be a guest on a podcast to greatly expand your reach? Hi, my name is Jennifer Hensel, and I'm the founder of the Women in Podcasting Network and host of the Women in Podcasting Show. Enjoy inspiring stories, interesting interviews, and powerful strategies from women around the world. I spotlight today's top podcasters, new podcasters, and expert guests. We also cover tips for leveling up your podcast and your business. Find out more about gaining visibility, growing your business, and monetizing your podcast. Okay, and then I'd go into my call to action. We invite you to support women in finding their voice and sharing their passion. It's all about women empowering women. If you'd like to listen to the podcast, you can scan the QR code on my business card or go to, and then I'll mention the website, womeninpodcasting.net. Or depending on the audience, I'll mention something like, if you're interested in starting a podcast, we have a free masterclass, and you can find that by scanning the QR code on our business card. I find it better to have a freebie or connection type information. I don't recommend trying to sell in your pitch. Remember, it's about compelling people to connect with you further. And I modify this to every event I go to make sure that I'm giving maximum value to the audience and what they're looking for and what their needs are. Now that you know the principles and outline for creating an elevator pitch, don't forget you can use ChatGPT to help you with writing it. Now you'll have a better idea of the types of prompts to enter because the quality of your questions determines the quality of the output. Now you're better equipped to ask the right questions. So here's an example. This is what I input into ChatGPT. Act as a fitness expert and write a hook and value proposition that can be used in an elevator pitch for a fitness expert, all in 3 sentences. So here's what it came up with. The hook is, did you know that 80% of people struggle to achieve their fitness goals? And then in the value proposition area, at Company XYZ, we've developed a fitness program that guarantees results within just 30 days using a unique combination of personalized coaching and data-driven insights. With our program, you'll get in the best shape of your life without sacrificing your time or energy. Now, of course, you'll be able to get even more specific results when you enter more information about your particular market. For example, you'll want to put more specifics about the audience. So if it's fitness for moms or fitness for weight loss or fitness for bodybuilders, right? It's going to change that hook and that UVP a little more. And whatever ChatGPT spits out, you'll want to refine that. And if it gives you a stat or something like that, you want to double check the source and make sure that it's accurate. You always have to check the accuracy with ChatGPT. But AI can definitely help you with getting you started and generating fresh ideas. So that was a very basic elevator pitch. It had the description of my podcast, and that's absolutely serviceable. It's fine and it works. And if you're just starting out, you want to at least have something like that in place where you have a hook and then you have, your value proposition and then some kind of call to action. Just by going through that process, you're going to gain a lot of clarity and focus on your objectives and how to better communicate with your audience and ultimately get more listeners. But the next level is when you incorporate stories, mini little stories that demonstrate the problem and your solution and how it worked for someone. So in the VIP section, I'm going to dive deeper into the format and give you step-by-step instructions on how to create each section effectively. And I'll give you the fill-in-the-blank template that I use and show you how I can adjust the elevator pitch to every situation. I'm going to show you exactly how to identify your audience because it all comes down to that. You need to enter the conversation that's going on in your ideal audience's mind, and I'll show you how. And I'll show you how to take it to the next level and incorporate stories for the biggest impact. The format I showed you in this video is great, and you can use that with success. But stories are where you will create that standout, memorable buzz and have a lineup of people waiting to talk with you. So you may think, I don't have a story, and how in the world can I tell a story in just a few sentences? But it's possible, and I'll show you how. I'll show you what's working today, and you'll walk away with lots of ideas to take to the next level and show up looking like a pro right out of the gate. In the meantime, I want you to schedule some time to craft your elevator pitch and truly capture the essence of your podcast and watch as your podcast and your business thrive. Until next time, my name is Jennifer Hensel, and you can find me at womeninpodcasting.net.